Okay, who wants to talk wrestling? Toy Connections back here with another side-by-side figure comparison. This time we're going to be talking about the Ultimate Warrior. So, just going left to right here for the four versions that I happen to have for the Ultimate Warrior. What we have here is the Elite Flashback Ultimate Warrior, the Royal Rumble Elite Ultimate Warrior, the Ringside Exclusive Ultimate Warrior, and the Legends 8 Ultimate Warrior. So, what we're going to talk about here is what each figure has to offer over the other one. You can see some of them are very similar, except for the Legends 8 version. Other versions of Ultimate Warrior out there will also be kind of similar to these. Some will have a chest pattern, some will come with a different type of title belt, some will come with a different trench coat attire. Overall, I'm going to start by saying this right now. There's no right way to build your Ultimate Warrior collection. One of the things that you're going to notice right away, if you happen to have some background or some history in the Mattel figures, I don't have every single version. I don't plan to collect every single version. I just want to get enough variations to represent my love for the Ultimate Warrior character growing up as a kid, right up until he went into the Hall of Fame in 2014. Notable omissions will be a couple different versions of the Defining Moments Ultimate Warrior. There's a couple of other Elite Ultimate Warrior, such as the Hall of Champions one. There's also the Ultimate Edition Ultimate Warrior. None of those are going to be reviewed here. If you happen to find those on the secondary market or future versions of the Ultimate Warrior, by all means, if you're building an Ultimate Warrior collection, those are all great. Mattel in general does a very good job of making Ultimate Warrior figures in terms of the face paint, in terms of the tassels, in terms of the articulation that comes with every Mattel Elite figure. So when I come back here in a second, I'm just going to start by going through each Ultimate Warrior one by one. And I will begin with the version on the left here, which is the Elite Flashback Ultimate Warrior. This Elite Flashback version of the Ultimate Warrior represents his attire at WrestleMania 6 when he won the world title for the first time there against Hulk Hogan. It came with the Winged Eagle world title in a black strap. When the figure was released with the Series 6 Legend series, it came with the yellow version of the Winged Eagle. I personally like this version of the Ultimate Warrior a lot, just because for me, that was the quintessential moment for the Ultimate Warrior when I was growing up as a kid, winning the world title at WrestleMania 6 at the Skydome in Toronto. Just absolutely mind-blowing. It was the time when the fans were split for one of the very first times you could have a good guy versus good guy match. And did you cheer for Hulk? Did you cheer for the Warrior? Regardless of who you cheered for, either way, this is Ultimate Warrior as how I remember him. I choose to pose him like this with the, with his arms in the air because he's got the screaming head sculpt there, and it is the only head scan that came with this particular version of the Ultimate Warrior. You can as well choose to pose him like this if he was shaking the ropes, if you happen to have a Mattel style ring. I absolutely love the paint details, the tassel details, the pattern on the trunks that they happen to choose for this. They were very, very detail-oriented and very careful with how they made this in terms of accuracy with the 1990 WrestleMania 6 Ultimate Warrior. And for me, it was the first Ultimate Warrior that I got in my collection. So in general, that's what it has to offer over the other versions, although you can see the other versions are very similar. I'll come back in a second here with the version behind it right there, the Royal Rumble 1990 Ultimate Warrior with the Intercontinental title. Like I mentioned earlier, the releases of the Ultimate Warrior can be relatively similar to each other in terms of the fact that he normally wore bright colors. He wore several different patterns of bright colors. He was pretty consistent with the pattern of his face paint, his tassels, the way his hair flowed. So with regards to this version, this is the Royal Rumble Elite Ultimate Warrior, which came in the same release as Titus, Umaga, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. This version happened to come with an alternate head scan, and what I like about this is it's got the face paint that's kind of looks like it's coming off, like it's at the end of a match sort of thing. So if you decide to pose him in such a way in the ring, like he's just finished battle, you can put him on the rope like this, kind of celebrating, assuming he's won the match. And it does look pretty good because he did have his face paint wear off pretty often when he was doing matches during his peak era there. So he's also got a pair of semi-open mic-holding hands. He's got the close-fisted hands that I put on here. And the accessory that, in my mind, is the best one that it came with is the yellow strap Intercontinental title, which is how I choose to display him when I put him on my shelf. Now, while I do say that, and while it is officially the Royal Rumble version when he wore the Intercontinental title, I mean, if you happen to have a Winged Eagle World title that you want to put on him, so be it, right? Like, nobody's really going to tell you if it's right or wrong, because all of his versions, like I mentioned, can be relatively similar to one another. But for me, I choose to have this just because he's got a different expression. He's got more of a neutral head scan here, neutral, not so much opening his mouth, not as embellished as the one behind him. So yeah, definitely a very, very cool version. If you happen to find it, in my mind, well worth the money as long as you don't pay too much on the aftermarket for it. You guys can tell me what you think, but while it isn't too different from the Elite Flashback Ultimate Warrior that I have, I do think it is a great figure still. This is the Ringside Collectibles exclusive version of Ultimate Warrior. As you can see, it's got a primarily blue attire, and it represents what he wore to the ring when he fought against Hunter Hearst Helmsley in 1996 at WrestleMania 12. You can see that there's this demonic sort of Ultimate Warrior look on the back that's painted on. I think it's very, very cool. In my personal collection, it's the only one I've got presently that comes with a ring jacket, so for me, it's pretty special that way. I'm aware that one of the versions of the Defining Moments Ultimate Warrior came with a ring jacket that represents what he wore at WrestleMania 7 when he fought Randy Savage in the retirement match, and another version with the Ultimate Edition Ultimate Warrior where he wore a ring jacket for the 1998 Halloween Havoc rematch there with Hulk Hogan. In any case here, like I said, it's a very, very cool figure. When it came out of the packaging, it had one open hand and one close-fisted hand. It does come with the corresponding other set here if you want to put both close-fisted hands on or both semi-open hands on. And you've got the kind of extended open hands that you can also put onto the figure here. What makes it the most different for me from the other versions of the Ultimate Warrior is it's got a very focused expression, and it either looks like one when he's running to the ring with a very focused look, like he's just driving towards the ring at full speed, or as you can see on the box there where it appears he's posed on the second rope there addressing the fans. Now this one didn't come with a title belt. I personally think that it would look good with a title belt. While it does represent a time when he wasn't the champion, for me, I wouldn't criticize anybody if they were to put a title belt on him, whether it's the Winged Eagle title or whether it's the Intercontinental title. But either way, for me, it looks a little different from the other versions of the Ultimate Warrior, despite the fact that it has generally the same face paint pattern, even with a different color, and the same sort of hair pattern. But in any case, for me, what made it a little bit special was it was a Ringside exclusive, so you had to order it online. It wasn't one of those things that I could kind of find out in the wild at a toy show or something along those lines. Either way, though, I do recommend this figure, especially if you can't find some of the other versions. This is just as good, and it holds up. I'll come back here, and we'll talk about the Legends 8 Retirement Era Ultimate Warrior before we wrap things up at the end with some final thoughts. This Legends 8 Ultimate Warrior is quite interesting in that it represents the post-retirement era of his life back in 2014 there, when he was being inducted into the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 30, followed by his farewell speech to the crowd at Monday Night Raw the following night there. And unfortunately, as many of you know, he passed away later that week. Now, having said that, this Ultimate Warrior does represent a very good time in his life, just because he got some level of closure with the WWE. He had reconciled with a lot of the folks there who he had had a falling out with when he had left the company a couple of times earlier on in his life. So at the end of the day, it is more of a happy moment, at least for the fans, at least for guys like me who got to see that kind of closure and see that kind of end to his tenure with the WWE. Now, this is a very, very cool jacket here. It's got him shaking the ropes there. It's got Always Believe on the sleeves. I think they did an amazing job with the face scan here, just to make it look a lot like him when he was in his mid-50s and away from the prime years of his career. It's got this mask here, which does fit over his face. It's got the microphone that he held when he gave his farewell speech on Monday Night Raw there, as far as his finals appearance is concerned. Now, he also comes with these two finger-raising hands. I don't put them on, but it is kind of represent, he's holding up a number 1 which, you know, I guess if you do put it on, it would look pretty cool. I'm just going to give it a try right now. I don't normally do this, but I just have the urge right now to review it in such a way. So yeah, it does look pretty cool that way, you know. I'm kind of considering leaving it like that now. Now, what's interesting about this version of the Ultimate Warrior is that if you buy one of the other versions, you have kind of a catch-all Ultimate Warrior just because any of them could represent the prime of his career. This one is that special novelty figure that, because it's so different, if you wanted to get a second Ultimate Warrior, this would be a very, very good choice to go for, just because of what it represents and just because it is that retirement era when he had that full closure in his career and kind of put the negatives in the past behind him. So I'll come back with some final thoughts and some closing remarks here in a moment. So what are my final remarks here? Now, the one thing that I didn't mention earlier, and I'll mention it now just because this happens to be a feature of a couple different figures of the Ultimate Warrior. If you happen to be that type of person who opens a box or throws the box away, look at the inserts inside, because for two of these versions, the Royal Rumble version actually comes with a countdown clock background that is in the box. So if you do decide to get rid of the box, grab this, because it is kind of a cool like bonus accessory of some sort. And with the Ringside Collectibles exclusive version, it comes with the WrestleMania 12 entrance backdrop. Like I said, I chose to save this for the end just because it comes with multiple figures, or I should say different backdrops come with different versions of the Ultimate Warrior. I can't speak for the ones that I don't have, whether they happen to come with backdrops or not. If you happen to know and you want to mention it in the comments, please feel free. Otherwise, as far as the final remarks here and my overall stance on this, I always say it, there's no wrong or right. If you want to collect one version of the Ultimate Warrior or 2 versions or 10 versions, do whatever you like. I like having multiple versions just because he happens to have a look like a superhero, and he looks so out of this world and outrageous that for me it's almost like he was more than human. Now, I was a kid when he was in his prime, so obviously for me, he just seemed larger than life. And for a lot of you guys, you'll probably agree with me. Which version do you buy? Honestly, Mattel does such a good job, and they're so consistent with how they produce the figures that you, like I always say, that you can never go wrong. For me personally, my favorite version is the WrestleMania 6 Appearance Ultimate Warrior, because for me that represents kind of the most exciting memory that I have of the Ultimate Warrior as a kid. Now, you might have a completely different exciting moment. There's many of them to mention throughout the 90s there. Like I said, there is no wrong answer here. Have fun with it. Have fun with your collecting. And if you have a favorite version, whether it's one of the ones here or one of the ones that I haven't listed or talked about or reviewed, feel free to sound it out in the comments and let me know. Anyway, that wraps it up for this round, and hopefully I'll come back and see you all soon with some more toy content.